Dipty's here with the paper review. Dipty, you're starting with the passing of an icon, albeit a controversial icon. This is, as we mentioned in the news, the Playboy founder Hugh Hefner, who's passed away.
That's right. The 91-year-old passed away on Wednesday peacefully. He died of natural causes. And the press is really full of adoring obituaries today. Let's start with The Hollywood Reporter, which reminds us that Hugh Hefner became the, quote, unofficial spokesman for the sexual revolution in the 1960s and 70s. Among his legacy, he actually parlayed $8,000 in borrowed money in 1953 to build Playboy, that obviously became a media empire. Among his legacies, dissociating the often religious guilt around sex, and, of course, his media empire that spawned TV shows, films, and a $100 million mansion.
You found a lot of reaction to his passing on Twitter, haven't you?
That's right. Tributes, condolences, that sort of thing have been pouring in on Twitter for the Hef, like this cheeky cartoon where he's at Heaven's Gate saying, "Are you kidding me? I just left heaven." So there's a lot of those kind of cheeky messages. But there is some criticism as well, because Hefner was a fairly polarizing character. One user wonders whether any man has done more than Hugh Hefner to empower the colonization and dismantling of the feminist movement. It's not this. It's in this tweet here. For some, the Hef objectified women through his naked centerfolds, but others say he sexually empowered them. Whichever way you see it, he was definitely a controversial figure.
Now, more controversy, the controversial Kurdish independence referendum. We'll be talking about that as well, of course. Kurds voting overwhelmingly in favour here.
And tensions are mounting as a result of that vote between Iraq and the Kurdish leaders. Let's look at the front page of an Iraqi publication called Asaba al-Jadid. There will be no negotiations with the Kurdish region until the referendum and its results are cancelled. That's what the Iraqi Prime Minister has said, the paper re-quoting the Iraqi leader there. The Iraqi parliament approved yesterday measures to try the Kurdish leader in front of courts and a plan to take back oil fields from the Kurdish city of Kirkuk.
And the standoff also making the front page, this is of Turkey's Hurriyet Daily.
That's right. Turkey, as well as Iran, have been vehemently opposed to that vote. On its front page, the Hurriyet Daily reports that the Iraqi government has asked troops to be deployed to the Kurdish region in what many fear could be an escalation of tensions. Tensions that one cartoonist from the pan-Arab London-based Al-Arab newspaper likens to being on the precipice of an explosion. Here you have a bomb threatening to light up that little tower representing the oil tanks, figuratively representing the Iraqis and Kurds in their standoff now.
Edge of an explosion. There was an explosion. This was in Uganda's parliament. A big brawl there opening up over a controversial decision. This was to raise the presidential age limit, wasn't it?
That's right. Not a very ugly brawl, it must be said. Ugandan MPs have been clashing for the past 2 days over this controversial motion. As you see in pictures here, they sort of got into a very heated fight. There was brawling. There were chairs being thrown, that sort of thing. Very unbecoming, it must be said, of any MP. African News says the MPs were busy with unparliamentary work as this debate heated up over raising the presidential age limit. 25 MPs have been suspended as a result. It feels all a little bit like high school, doesn't it?
It does a little.
The president, Yoweri Museveni, has been ruling the country for over 3 decades now, and essentially this motion being passed allows him to stand for re-election in 2021 at the age of 77. The motion actually follows similar initiatives by Zimbabwe, Rwanda, Burundi, and a whole host of other African countries in what many see as attempts to allow their longtime leaders to stay in power, or authoritarian leaders. And let's just end on this section with a cartoon from one person who essentially says that Museveni has the parliament in the palm of his hand. As you see here, these MPs in his hat, one saying age is nothing but a number.
Yet another controversy for you now. Following the take a knee protest, of course, that we reported on a lot at the beginning of the week by NFL players in the US, there's a new sports politics controversy. It's in Australia, this one, isn't it?
That's right. The Australian Rugby League, which is rugby with 13 players in a team, is holding its final this Sunday. Think of it like the Australian version of the Super Bowl. And every year they invite some well-known artists to perform. This year it's Macklemore, the US rapper. He's a special guest, and he'll be performing his hit song, Same Love, an ode to marriage equality. This at a time when tensions are high over a vote on legalizing gay marriage. The Australian reports that the immigration minister has slammed the song choice, saying he objects to political messages being, quote, jammed down people's throats. Macklemore, for his part, says it's nothing but criticism from, quote, angry old white dudes in Australia.
Okay, well, that's gay marriage. What about solo marriage? How can you have solo marriage? What's
this is
about?
A thing. This is actually a thing.
Is it?
It's called sologamy, like monogamy, but for one person. Last weekend, an Italian personal trainer called Laura Messi married herself in a lavish ceremony in front of 70 guests. The event was dubbed Sposa Single, or single spouse, and it's part of a growing trend called sologamy. It's not legally binding, of course, and there are some cruel critics that say it's just a self-indulgent ceremony for single people, but for many it is a declaration of independence. As Newsweek says, there is one upside. At least the divorce rate is practically non-existent.
You know, that's exactly what I was going to say. What happens if you want a divorce?
It's probably the world's simplest divorce procedure.
It could be painful, couldn't it? Thanks a lot, Tipsy with the papers there, and Steve bringing us business as well. Very latest news with you right after the break. Don't go away.